Worry observations, righteous discussions unite people. It's the Word Up Podcast, and I am your host, Open-mindedness, etc. Folks, we gonna talk about. You see today's title. You might be befuddled, confounded, don't really know what the hell going on with it. Folks, I'm here today to talk about Mama Knows Mess. All right. Without further ado, let's get into it. If you would, hit subscribe, notification bell, as well as a like. It really helps out the channel as well as the show. Folks, we're going to be talking about Mama Knows Mess because I keep seeing this reoccurring theme in society, right? There's a reoccurring theme in society, it seems like. And I can't ignore the shit. I can't ignore it at all. And I hate that this channel is taking on certain themes, but it just seems like something keeps happening. Oh, when something keeps happening over and over and over again, an undesirable result, an undesirable outcome, you have to start looking at what's causing this. There is a rampant epidemic, and I ain't talking about the thing you need the jab for. All right, there is an entitlement epidemic, especially, and I do say especially, amongst affluential families. Let's say families, whether they're broken or intact, completely intact. There is an epidemic of affluential families. Families that have a lot of money. Okay. And the reason that these families have a lot of money is because the father worked their ass off to get it. We're talking about your Dr. Dre's. We're talking about your, of course, Jay-Z. You're talking about your Russell Simmons. He's going through something recently, which I just found out way of the Angry Man. I was just on his show. Shout out, salute Angry Man if you see this. Especially in hip hop, right? Dr. Dre, Lil Romeo, Master P, Dr. Dre and his daughter. We're going to throw Kirk Franklin in the mix too, because Kirk Franklin, I mean, he brought hip hop over to gospel music, essentially. You know what I'm saying? It didn't really have much rhythm. I'm not going to say it didn't have much rhythm, but there really wasn't a whole lot of rhythm to be had if it wasn't for Kirk Franklin. All right. The list goes on and on, right? But we keep seeing these affluential people, 50 Cent and his son. Like, we got a lot of case studies to build this case. It seems as though that the expectation of the black child when their parents make it is that they don't have to really do anything. It seems as though that they don't really have to do anything. And the reason why they believe they don't have to do anything is because while the father is out busting their ass, earning a living in any which way, shape, or form that they found a way to make means and to make it happen in this capitalistic society we call America, right? it seems as though they don't really think that they have to do anything due to their primary caretaker while the father's out handling business. And who's usually the primary caretaker of children? You have to ask, who is the primary caretaker of children? The primary caretaker is the mothers that these men had children with. 50 Cent's son was very impressed by his mother. In Russell Simmons, the mother is the primary influence of Aoki, him and Kimura's daughter. So if you see a repeated pattern, also in Dr. Dre's, the mother, now thankfully in Kirk Franklin, it doesn't seem like the mother actually sides with Kirk Franklin over their own son. So he's just a spoiled brat in that particular instance. But 50 Cent, Russell Simmons, Dr. Dre, they're all having these problems with spoiled children that don't believe that they actually have to do anything in society to make it happen for themselves. Understand what I'm saying? So the fact that they don't believe that they have to do anything in order to make it happen for themselves, it's a bit of a problem. Let me test this on the stream real quick. I just want to test something. All right. We in business. All right. Check that out. All right, so I just wanted to test that out because it was supposed to be a discussion. Don't have the people yet, but the people will come, and so I must build. But here's the thing. If you see a repeated pattern of behavior, if any, let's say corporation, business structure, business model, if any business sees a repeated pattern of behavior that's a detriment to how that company runs, and they don't do anything about it, what do you think is going to happen to that company? What do you think is going to happen to that business? Will it go on to thrive? Will it go on to thrive, or will it eventually just wither and die? Tonight I want to talk about two people, two very different people, two very different cases. But there's a core theme amongst these two people. Those two people are Black China and Tupac Shakur. Now, what can these people have in common? We're going to get there. But let me bring up a pic of Tupac. Look at Tupac. This brother put it down. He made great music, captivated the masses. To this day, a lot of things that this artist has said is very relevant in today's society. You can listen to him today and it'll give you the same feel as possibly the first time that you heard him. So it's not going overseas. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that. So what we need to what we need to take note of is Tupac Shakur had a troubled childhood. His troubled childhood stemmed from what appeared to be fatherlessness. He writes about it in plenty of his songs. Talks about getting kicked out of the house. Talks about a lot of things. But so this is the thing. When we have fatherless children in America, it's never a good thing. Statistics show that a fatherless child is less likely to be successful than a father that, a child that is being raised by a single mother. Statistics are in. Specifically, not just, in wedlock or out of wedlock, or if it's a broken home, or if the father is in the house. If the father isn't present, is usually the determining factor between the success or the failure of the child later on in life, well into adulthood. So, the thing is that when we have broken homes, it's a terrible thing. It should never be championed, but it seems in this day and age, single motherhood is championed. It seems that single motherhood is championed here in the States nowadays. And we don't know, like, you hear horror stories for children in this situation. I don't understand why it is. It shouldn't be. But we fight, we advocate for it. And when I say we, I necessarily don't. But it seems that society advocates for single parents. Well, not single parents, but specifically single mothers. Tupac Shakur's estate recently put out a documentary that called Dear Momma. And by that title alone, you should know what that title means. It's not really focusing on Tupac, but it would be focusing more on Afeni Shakur. I'm not here to talk about that, but it is relevant to what I'm speaking on, because we're going to get the thoughts of a gentleman that was in the documentary, but he said everything that he could say, but producers edited it, cut it out, so what he really was trying to say, a lot of that got cut out in the editing process so that they can paint the narrative that they wanted to push. That gentleman would be Tupac's biological father. Okay, Tupac's biological father. Billy Garland. If you don't know who Billy Garland is, I didn't either. I had no idea that Tupac's biological father was alive and well. Billy Garland, this man, looks just like Tupac, don't he? Looks just like Tupac. We're going to get into this. I have a video of this gentleman pulled up. Hold on, let me make sure that that's the top. Let's get into this. Billy Garland. Hold on, I don't have it out the way that I want it to be. The Art of Dialogue. This is brought to us by way of The Art of Dialogue. Wait a second. Fair use. Fair use. So this is Tupac's father, right? Billy Garland. He had to prove that he was alive and Tupac's father. Hold on. Let's get into it.
Like Prince, Tupac didn't have a will, and as a consequence,
He looks just... you can't deny that he's the spitting image of Tupac. Like, from the picture that I just showed, as well as the... look at the nose, specifically. That nose, the goatee. He's got the goatee, the hair. Like, if you shaved his head, it'd be the same cranium. Check it out.
everything had to go through probate courts. Since you were his father and you were still living, how come you weren't part of that process?
Because she put on the paper that I was dead. So now I had to prove that I was alive. Okay, now then go ahead and prove that you're his father. Once that was done, okay, now go ahead. California has something that's not only you have to be his father, you have to show some support through his upbringing. You just can't be his father. So now go ahead and prove that you supported him. Without all the mitigating circumstances that he was lied to, kept away from me, and all that other shit. But that's how that ended. And I
didn't know that. I had no idea about that. I didn't know that you also had to prove support. I didn't know that you also had to prove support. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I didn't know that you had to prove support in the state of California. That in order to be someone's father, on top of just biological DNA tests, I didn't know that you also had to prove that you supported them in some aspect. I can see it from the perspective of, okay, deadbeat dad, because there's a lot of celebrities. See, you have to look at the whole picture. There's a lot of celebrities in it's literally where Hollywood is located. So there's a lot of celebrities in Beverly Hills and whatnot in California because they do work, they shoot movie, yada, X, Y, Z, and the third. But what's interesting is that these particular cases where a father might have been, well, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and be the judge.
some issues, health issues. I just had a major operation. We had just lost the case, but we were appealing, and they offered a certain amount of money, and I'm laid up there sick, and it was never about the money with me. So I took that deal. Substantial amount, bought a house, but lived pretty well. But things happen. It would never have been what it should have been. But now I look at it now. I almost kind of like what happened. The money's in other people's hands. It's not in the foundation.
Oh, so Tupac's estate is being controlled by other people that aren't in the foundation.
Like Prince, like Michael, it's just in other people's hands. And it makes you wonder, what the hell is that about? What the hell is that about?
Speaking of that, just recently, Setua Shakur, Tupac's sister, filed a lawsuit against the estate, mainly the executive of the estate, Tom Wiley, basically alleging that he had committed fraud and was misappropriating funds, if you will.
Probably.
As the father of Tupac, who you accepted the deal involving that situation with Afeni, how does that make you feel?
Terrible.
This is karma, folks. This is karma, because if you didn't trust the father to be a father, let's take this back. Dear Mama, hold on, let me put this together. Let me put this together so we can actually. If you didn't trust this man, right? If you didn't trust this man, Tupac's father, because here's the thing. Okay, so I'm gonna paint the whole picture for you. Black Panther Party, okay? Afeni, Legs, and Billy Garland were together in the Black Panther Party. Now things happened. Law cracked down on organized black people. It is what it is. They started getting into different dealings to fund the movement, and the movement eventually broke down because, you know, the hustler became the customer, essentially, when drugs and things of that nature got involved. So they started doing drugs, got less focus on what the mission and the task at hand was. Afeni got on crack. Tupac said so himself. Dear Mama, even though you were black, even though you're a crack fiend, Mama, you always was a black queen, Mama. Tupac's words, her son. Okay, documented. So, Pac got put that out to document that his mother was a crack fiend. And she was a crack fiend. She was on drugs. Everybody was doing drugs back in the 70s, but, you know, it was different. Heroin, blow, Quaaludes, everybody was experimenting. Sherman Hemsley. So because of that, the Black Panther Party destabilized, and the feds were on their back, so they had to separate. It was a lot of chaos. People had to make moves. Afeni Shakur, in her cracked out mind, was very paranoid. So she did what women tend to do in certain situations is, and I said this back on The General Sucks D. Women will make certain decisions in order to protect themselves, not so much the people around them. It's funny how this is going to be, and a lot of these concepts are going to be very circular. Like, we're going to come full circle a lot of times when it comes to some of these concepts that I talk about. So, in her stage, she's on drugs. She wanted Legs to be Tupac's father, so she named him as Tupac's father. She said that he was Tupac's father. So, her and some of the other kids that she had with Legs, they were legitimately Legs' children, but, you know, Pac has a story about how he was being picked on. And this is what this man says, because he actually got a chance to meet Pac before he passed, thank God, and build a relationship with him. So, the story goes is that Afeni Shakur wanted all the children that she had to be together and be seen equally. So she put them all on one man. Typical move. They then, as you know, kids get older, facial features develop, they started to notice that Tupac looks different than everybody else. Now, at this point in time, Legs is dead. So, you know, Afeni Shakur, whenever it came time to say who Tupac's father was, she would put deceased. Father is deceased. This is his father. He's deceased. The whole time she has to look at this child's face and see that, yo, he does look like Billy. But she's growing up. She's letting him grow up thinking that his father is dead. You can't look at him. You can't tell me that you're looking at this kid's face every day, seeing these features come in. You can't tell me that when you see these features that you don't see. I mean, come on. Come on. Come on. You can't tell me that you don't see these features in your son, man. You mean to tell me this guy? You mean to tell me that you don't see the facial features, the similar facial features between this man and this man? As this kid is growing up, but she has to stick with the lie. Not for the child's benefit, but for her own. It's not for the child's benefit. It's strictly for the parents' benefit. So, we have Tupac. His father, Billy Garland, is out there searching for Tupac all of this time. And it's not like it's back in, it's not like it is today where, you know, she eventually slips up, uses social media, says that she's over here, you know what I'm saying? Because it's easy for a woman to slip up nowadays. It's easy to find people nowadays, a lot easier now than it was in the 80s. They didn't have social media. The internet was in its infancy. There's no way that Billy would be able to track down Tupac. There'd be absolutely no way for Billy to track down Tupac and find his lost son. So time goes by, and the first time that this man sees his son Tupac, is when Juice comes out, the premiere of Juice. And he's crying in the theater. Not because his son is an award-winning actor or he put on a great performance in Juice, but just because he saw his own visage, likely the person that he's been seeing in the mirror. I mean, look at that. He's been looking in the mirror, and he's been looking for his son for double digits amounts of years. And the first time he sees his son is on the big screen when he breaks down crying, because he sees all of his facial features in that 18-year-old boy. Heavy. But this is the thing. Well, it's better if you hear it from the horse's mouth. And as such, we gonna go back. We're gonna go back and let him tell more of the story.
It's ridiculous. Should be in the family. The money should be in the family. It really should. It just should be.
And Setua shouldn't have to fight this fight.
No, she shouldn't. Not at all. I think I'd have fought harder if I knew this was going to happen, this end result. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what.
So Billy, being a nice guy, he didn't want to come off as, oh, my son's famous, let me get some money all of a sudden. My son is famous. My son is famous, so let me, you know what I'm saying? He didn't want to come off as that guy. You know, the guy that they always paint long lost fathers to be. Hey, son, you're famous. I left you on your own for a while. I left you on your own for a minute. I knew you would make it, but I abandoned you for all of these years. And now that you're famous and actually made something of yourself, let me, please give me some money. That guy. That guy. Hey, now that you're famous, let me get some money from you, son. He didn't want to be that guy, so he took a deal for way less than probably he deserved for his pain and suffering alone, and his anguish, and his mistreatment. And so he accepted whatever they offered because he didn't want to come off as, you know what I'm saying? He understands as a man that he didn't help build this. So why is he automatically entitled to it? It's a fair thing. It's a fair thing to surmise. I didn't build this, so why am I entitled to it? That's what every man knows at the core, of their being. Every man that is a man understands. I'm not entitled. The world owes me nothing. I have to go out here and get it for myself. So he didn't want to take from his son. He just wanted to be with his son. But let's continue.
What happened? I don't know how y'all lost. I don't know how y'all let that happen. I had nothing to do with it. And nothing I could have said. You know who called me? TMZ called me. The day of Fanny died, wanted to know if I was going to challenge the estate. Swear to God. I'm sad. I loved Fanny. I'm mourning her. I wasn't thinking about that.
And understand, this is the place that a lot of men find themselves, right? Because he not only loved his son, but he loved the woman that birthed him. I mean, I know especially in the black community, we get into the trope of, oh, I hate her, I hate my baby mama and whatnot. But there's a thin line between love and hate. They're both emotions of attention. You know what I'm saying? You have to give attention to that which you hate and love. So he loved Afeni. How could you not? She birthed your son. Even if he didn't make millions of dollars and wasn't, you know what I'm saying, a movie star, a rap star, all of that, you still love the child that was procreated from you. And how could you not love the woman? No matter what she did to you, on some level, how could you not love the woman that birthed that child? But let's continue.
I probably had it right. I probably could have made a little damage. You know what I mean? It's a good settlement, but I wouldn't still thinking about that. I never think about money, and I should, to the detriment of my grandchildren. You know, I'm all right. I ain't rich, but can do what I want to do, can go where I want to go, can eat what I want to eat. I'm all right. I'd like to be better, don't get me wrong. I play the picket now and then, you know, shit. But I'm just saying, if I knew it was going to end up like that, I think I might have fought a little harder. You know?
And it's sad. It's sad. All this man wanted, we're going to go back. All this man wanted. All he wanted was to get to know Tupac. All he wanted was that connection with his son that he never actually got. You know what I'm saying? And it turned out that he actually did. And that, out of this entire thing, that's what I'm thankful for most, is that he did actually have the opportunity. That he did actually get the opportunity to address his son, to build with his son, to be with his son. I'm glad that he got that opportunity. Because, I mean, what if imagine the difference that this man could have made in his son's life if he was just allowed to be a part of it. Imagine. No, really sit back. Remember what I said earlier. Most children that, a lot of children that don't have their fathers in their lives are worse off for it. And I gave you cases of entitlement. So, cases of entitlement with of cases of entitlement with what was it? With 50 Cent's son, right? Little Curtis Jr. Cases of entitlement with Dr. Dre's daughter, who was, last we heard, living out of a car. And people look at the father as like, how can you have your daughter? How can you have your son, X, Y, Z, and the third? The thing is that though these situations are embarrassing, can we say that they're not warranted? These men bust their ass, work their fingers to the bone to build up that which they have. Why should the children just expect to have it as though they don't have to work for themselves? I mean, my God, in 50 Cent's case specifically, he was putting his son onto some game that eventually would have been what StockX is now, before StockX even existed. That means 50 Cent's son would have cornered the market on a business that is booming today, and he would have done it before anybody else would have done it. His father was going to give him seed money, and his mother got in his head and said, no, don't do that. Da, da, da. That had nothing to do with your mother, but you let her interfere in the affairs between you and your father. I can't judge because, you know what I'm saying, similarly in the upbringing, I had that. But, you know what I'm saying, you learn that this world is not going to hand you anything that you don't work for, especially as a man. Daughters might be a little different, but look, Uncle Phil snapped a talk show somehow. She started doing stuff in the mall. She got hustling. And that's what these kids need to do, is hustle. World doesn't owe you anything, but, you know, your affluential father, going back to 50 Cent now, your affluential father tells you, hey, this is what you need to do for a business. I'll give you a little seed money, but you need to open this, manage it, and learn how to run it on your own. X, Y, Z, and third, this is going to be a booming business because I see how those things are moving in the streets. And who knows the street better than 50 Cent? Exactly what happened with Dr. Dre's daughter and whatnot. But if you expect from me, this is the thing too. Angry Man said this. I'm just echoing his thoughts, but I 100% agree with what he said. Why is it that in today's society, we all but completely exclude the father from the family unit? But we expect resources from him in a lot of cases. You ever notice that? You ever notice that a lot of these kids, they don't want anything they don't actually want to interact with the father on any level. They don't want anything from the father, and they say fuck the father a lot of times, but they still expect resources from the father. It's very interesting. Which we should, I think if you're going to do it, you do it all the way. And you say fuck you say fuck the money, fuck the inheritance, fuck whatever you have to give me, fuck, you know what I'm saying, all of you. You don't just reject a person and then say, no, but give me the money though. Because I'm owed something. Entitlement is a sickness, a mental sickness, and it should be thoroughly examined. But you know.
Did you know that you...
No, I didn't. But you know, we're going to get back. I got another clip of Billy Garland, and then I'm going to get to another story who we don't know where their father is, but we're going to get to this. This is going to be another one with Billy Garland in it. Also brought to you by Art of Dialogue. I don't know who Art of Dialogue is, but I 100% salute what you've been able to do with your platform, because you seem to be getting the interviews that nobody else is getting. So I 100% salute it. Let us go back to the YouTube. Art of Dialogue, fair use. I want to emphasize the fair usage of the fair use of the use that is fair. Okay, I'm done.
There's been a lot of speculation and innuendo over the years about what happened that night in Las Vegas when Tupac was shot. What do you think ultimately happened?
I don't know. That's something that's got to be discussed at different time. I would think. I will say I don't think Orlando Anderson, unfortunately, was the person responsible for that death. I will say also that I think the same people who killed my son killed Biggie. Done in the same way, same style. I think that when someone says that they're taking their business, their potential millions and millions of dollars of profit away from a certain group of individuals, I think that those individuals might tend to think, well, if we do this, we'll still have all the masters and we'll still have 165, I think, unreleased at that time. Then they can go write a song taking a shit in the bathroom. I'm telling you, that's what he would do. He would go take a shit and would come back with some verses to a new song. He was that capable. So he was very prolific in his ability to put words to pen to paper. The problem was he wasn't getting what he deserved. Pac would have to go ask for royalties. Pac would say, "Where's my money?" And then they would always deliver a car. Found out later it wasn't even in his name.
This is getting deep. We going in a direction I don't necessarily want to go in. This is getting deep, folks. I'm sorry. This is, protect Pac's father at all costs. That's where I'm at with it. Protect Pac's father at all costs. Protect Billy Garland at all costs. That is where I'm at. Because, yeah, they're getting very, like, he's going places. Ooh, boy. He's going places. He's going, where he's going right now, I think, this is what I think. I think he's 100% right. I think he's 100% accurate in everything that he's saying. I believe wholeheartedly that Pac was asking for the money, because we hear this story all the time, especially from Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was saying, look, the cars was in my name. I had to go to Master P. Master P, everybody on No Limit Records had a car, a house, 2 guns, and a bank account. We didn't have that over there at Death Row. I was driving in cars that weren't even in my name. Because it wasn't about the money, it was about controlling, so that they can run the brick up and run the bag up for themselves. And when I say themselves, we're talking about Suge Knight and the Third. So Suge being in jail is karma, honestly. He being in jail for the rest of his life is really just karma. Because you do all of this and you do this damage and you hold back finances from people, and what, you don't think that karma's gonna catch up to you? I don't care how tough of a guy you are. You ain't tougher than life. Shout out Jordan Jetson. That's a bar from him. I borrowed that, Jordan. If you ever watch this, I had to borrow that real quick. But you mean to tell me that I'm putting in all this work, my pen hitting the pad, I'm coming up with Grammy Award winning records. I'm coming out with platinum selling double albums. Well, technically he was, and you not gonna pay me? Shit. I don't, listen. I need them royalties. I need my mechanical. I need my sinks. I need all of that. I need all of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm gonna come dead to your face with it, cause
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
seriously. But let's continue.
To buy him a house, found out it wasn't in his name. Shit. Send him to the jewelry store. He'd buy everybody. She'll say, go on down this jewelry store and buy yourself some jewelry. Spend $40, $50, $60, $70,000, buy his boys some shit. Found out later, they took this out his royalties. So,
hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
he was actually spending his own money as opposed to you giving me my money and letting me spend it the way I see fit.
Boy, what the fuck is you talking about?
Yeah.
It was never that. I think he had about $200,000 in his account when he died. If Pac was alive, he'd be bigger than all of them. Jay-Z, he'd be a billionaire. There's no doubt in my mind. With his acting and his music, there's no doubt in my mind.
That's a fact. Jay-Z's silver screen career never actually took off. He's in a couple of movies that was produced by Rockefeller, and it really didn't go anywhere. Beyonce did a lot better, but even her. But yeah, Pac was a star in every sense of the word, and he didn't reach his full potential. Let's make that very clear. Pac never reached his full potential as an actor, as an artist. Like once Pac got down, like how to, like he could put ordinary words together and make poetry out of it. But if he ever got as lyrical as some other artists while conveying some of the same thoughts in a way that really reached the core of the listener, or like he did, we talking Michael Jackson level, potentially. Pac would have been big as or bigger than Michael Jackson. He probably would have worked with Michael Jackson. Like he would definitely crossed over on that pop side. And technically he was already on his way there because white kids love Tupac. That's the whole reason why he was able to sell the way that he did. But I digress. Let's continue.
And he would have a large following. And I think that's what scared them more than anyone else.
That's a fact, because he actually said, like there was speculation that Pac was going to run for president one day. Like if you could sell 100 million records, why can't that be 100 million votes? Understand what I'm saying? And a lot of the music that Pac was making had a lot of political references, was very politically inclined. So, let's go.
He was talking about was true. You know, the oppression of his people, police brutality. Yeah, they couldn't have that. And you know, and I know, our leaders get snuffed out real quick when they start telling the truth. And everybody thought he was crazy. He wasn't crazy. He was frustrated. Yeah, he got off into that East Coast, West Coast thing. Somebody was pumping his head with that bullshit. I'm talking about the early stage, and when I talked to him in prison, what he had planned on doing in his latter stage, what he wanted to do. But he got caught up in some people, and they were pumping his head with shit, and, you know, he's smoking a lot of weed, you know.
They kept him high and drunk all the time on death row. I've heard about this. Like, there's stories of Pac saying that he ain't trying to smoke no more weed, actually. There's stories of him. And he actually is the one that showed Snoop Dogg what a blunt is, because Snoop was smoking joints. But there were times where he was trying to quit and they wouldn't let him quit. It was like, nah, nigga, you gonna smoke the type. There's stories like that out there. So let's continue.
Tell your story. Pac smoked so much weed when they got out. They got him out, signed the thing. They released him, get in the limo. Oh, they feeding him blunts and champagne. Gets on the plane, blunts and champagne. When Pac got off the plane, I think he fell dead on his face. Point. Because he hadn't been used to it. It's been about 8-9 months. He hadn't had anything. He, clear-headed. But as he was clear-headed, he often talked about what he wanted to do. He just wanted to do something more positive. Little things. I said, well, why you spit at the reporter? He said, Pac, I don't know. I was just frustrated. I ain't gonna do that shit no more. I said, there, you shouldn't. It's a negative look.
What did I say earlier? Folks, listen. Listen. If Pac would have been sued by his father, if Pac would have been schooled by his father, if his father would have been allowed in his life, do you think Pac would still potentially even be alive today? Because I do. I think if Billy Garland was gaming up Pac all that time that they missed each other, I seriously think Tupac would be alive today. And Afeni lied to Tupac and told him that his father was dead. Folks, this is terrible. This could possibly be some of the worst things. Like, imagine how different Pac's life would probably look if his father was involved. And remember, Pac was an art student. All that thug life and what, he sold crack for about a week. But he knew it so well because everybody around him was doing it. It was the thing to do. But Pac was an art student. This is where he picked up acting. It's where he picked up his love of poetry and the written word and the spoken word. If his father was in his life, he would be a lot more focused. He would have had more of a backbone to turn down certain things. So that's Tupac. Another story, and this is going to be a quick hit really at the back end of this. But I've been thinking about Black China, right? Let me put this away because I don't have to pick for Black China, but I've been thinking about Black China, right? And I'm just happy that she found her way to, let's say, higher calling, a greater purpose, whatever that may look like in the future. I used to think that it was, at first I thought it was like a cash grab, but it doesn't really look like she's doing too much as far as the social media presence is concerned. But the reason why I can extend so much grace to Black China, even though she's done, some things out here. The reason why I will extend that much grace is because of things like this. Let's go here. Hold on. Nah, I'm gonna reduce it. We gonna take it back down to where it was at. I wonder if I could click on it. Okay. I'm gonna have to mute it because of the music. But this is Black China's mother. Tokyo, what's her name? what's Black China's mother's name? Tokyo Tony. Tokyo Tony. This is Black China's mother. She was a porn star back in the day. She has been on porn videos. She was essentially a hoe. She was a hoe. And here she is trying to promote her OnlyFans account with a bottle of Jergens. This is who she was raised by. All right. So Tupac had a crack fiend. I think she's on some sort of drugs, or this is just her. Maybe her mind's just messed up for some. I think Tokyo Tony has possibly done drugs, but this is who raised Black China. I I can't do it. I can't. Ooh boy, doesn't it get tiring? Like when you reach a certain age, ladies, it's cool to not be sexy. You did your job. You don't have to be sexy when you reach a certain age. It's not going to be your thing. It's not going to be the thing that you're going to be praised for. And so what I think Tony suffers from most of all is arrested development, because she's still acting like a young woman instead of, adopting the attitudes of a older woman who was able to age with grace. But hoes aren't necessarily known for their grace. So the fact that Black China sees her mother's behavior and she doesn't want that future for her at all, I have to say, look, that's positive. That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, I'm not going to say that, she's the Mother Teresa, because her past is a past. And every sinner has a past. Every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. That's how it goes. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and knock Black China for her past if she truly is trying to change and she wants better for herself. I think that should be celebrated to a certain extent, and I think that anybody that's willing to assist in their own rescue should be rescued. That's what I think. But just know you can't get mad if someone brings up your past, because your past is your past. That's just what it is. But again, single Black mother, I'm not going to put her in the same, but I'm not going to put Tony, like Tokyo Tony, I don't know what her real name is, but I'm not going to put her in the same box as an Afeni Shakur, who was a part of a movement that fought for the rights of Black people. But we have to see that the easiest way to get to the men and destabilize the family unit and to destabilize our communities is through our women. Which is why the conversation is focused on women now. Because when I was growing up, I couldn't hear enough how Black men ain't shit. I couldn't hear. It was like every Black man that I knew growing up, my uncles, my father, my cousins, the older cousins, the pastor, the reverend, the dentist, which is technically the same person, every Black man, my mom's friends, husbands, all of them wasn't shit. And as a black boy growing up in that, you kind of shy away from things that are typically masculine, because these men, all of these men that I just named, not by name, but all these men that I named, were moving in a very masculine fashion. But you tend to shy away from those attitudes because you don't want to be the ain't shit nigga. So in essence, these women rob their sons of the very thing that they need to be productive members of society and to be strong. Fundamentally. It's a shame. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Worry observations, righteous discussions, unite people. It's the Word Up Podcast, and I've been your host, Omni, etc. Till next time. Whoa. See, we got some wires crossed.